All right, today I'm going to do a master sketch of a sergeant, and it's the crocodiles, which I absolutely love. I'm going to paint on this 300-pound New York Central cold pressed watercolor paper. So here we go. All right, so just going to do a quick little sketch here, just so I can kind of get the general of what's going on here. I've always loved this one. It's incredible what Sargent gets with very minimal information in this painting. So I'm going to just see if I can get some of it. And so much is like almost implied with this painting. And I'm only going to do a fraction of it. The beautiful thing about Sargent too, when you look at his paintings, is that you can see that he has minimal amount of like little sketching going on too. So he used pencil to map out. That's my guess. Map out the compositions just quickly. And the cool thing about seeing that is like, oh man, it gives me hope, you know. So if he did it, I'm like, oh man, maybe I can get this medium. So I'm gonna just do a nice little sketch, not like a master copy. I think his is nice and kind of quickly done, and that's the hope that I'm gonna get in my little sketch too. A little spontaneity feeling in it. Obviously not the whole thing. But, good way to practice your watercolor and drawing skills. Always a reason to work on those. All right, so I think that's good. So I'm working from a monitor, and I'm going to use just a rag here. This is a Kolinsky Sable brush from Trekell. I'm just going to open that up. Looks like maybe a little bit of pigment left in from before. All right, and I'm going to start with, it looks like there's some red. So I'm going to start with just maybe a little bit of red just to warm up. I'm going to cut that, just whatever was in there. I'm just going to come in here. Now, the thing to remember about watercolor is that it always dries lighter. So I'm going to just be, again, very open with the interpretation of this and see just what I can get in the sketch. And it looks like it goes from red to orange. So I'm going to add yellow. I don't really have an orange out. But the cool thing is I'm going to just push it now towards orange. And then a little bit more water just to get it. It's like a hint of color. Now you can see from some of these marks that when you're studying Sargent's painting here, that he's definitely, he's like using a little bit of pencil, but then also a little bit of, it's like simplicity or silhouette to get some of the colors here. So it looks like he's using, I'm going to get some water, activate this. Looks like he's using like a black. I would imagine it's probably like a mixed black. It's possible that he did have a black. But again, it's almost like the way that I paint when I paint with oils. It's just like getting just get some pieces of data down, and then you're going to reel it in from there. All right, and the nice thing, I'm going to actually start to load it here. So tempted to try out a couple colors here, but I think it almost looks like he's got phthalo in there, but I imagine he probably has more of ultra. So let's just, it almost looks like there's some kind of a, let me see if I can get phthalo out. There we go. Windsor blue is what it's called. in watercolor here, but I'm just gonna get, looks like a cyan out. I'm gonna just get both of them out and then do a little test here. Move this over a little bit. All right, now there's phthalo. Oof, and that's potent. And there's ultra. So I'm gonna just come in here and I think this shape right here, it looks like he's really playing around with adding even a warmth to it, maybe even pulling out. Fascinating. There we go. So much about what he's doing too is, again, he's kind of implying. The cool thing about Kolinsky sables is that they're, it's like a razor. All right, and then now I'm gonna just come in here with a very thin wash. You got to be careful with painting in watercolor, because if areas are not dry, then you possibly could be getting they could mix into one another, unless that's what you want. That, and then just a little blue up there, and then he's kind of indicating almost like a halftone or something over there. And then this is a little more blue, like true blue right up in there. All right, and then oof, so hard. Obviously, I'm working off a monitor, so it's like, is he using ultra or is he using phthalo? I would imagine it's probably ultra. Phthalo is 1935, so it wouldn't make sense if he did, but it could be Prussian. All right, and now I'm going to add some transparent earth red. And transparent earth red with look at that's transparent or red oxide. That's how dark it gets when it dries. But take these two together and you mix them and you get like a beautiful neutral. And that's a beautiful thing about watercolor. And I bet you he's doing some of that in here. Nice neutral. You know, the beautiful thing about these little sketches is that it allows you to play, extract, consider, think, and wonder. But also, you may come up with your own findings from it, or you may stumble on what the artist was intentionally trying to do. All right, and then there's like this beautiful, right in there, just a shape of an orange. You know, and he has these like whispers all through here. I was in Florida this summer, and this looks like what I saw, just like gators kind of hanging around. It's kind of scary, but you know, you just don't get close to them. And he's got some dry brushing in there. See how it just drags? Kind of gives a bit of a texture. All right. And the nice thing about, like, this is Michael Harding's watercolors, which I love. And when you take them, Michael Harding or Daniel Smith, but when you take them and you mix them, you can actually you can kind of draw with it. And it depends on how much water you have in there, but you can see that you can make some just marks to strengthen some of this. It's a little darker in there. in here. So then up in here, that's like his eye. Up in there, just a touch. Interesting, because he's kind of putting in like these crevice shadows a little bit, but not letting it define too much. All right, and then little there. I'm gonna come back in at the end. You start to dissect like, oh, how much of this is dry brushing, and then how much of it is, you know, wet into wet. Definitely playing up warm light, cool shadow in this. All right, let's get a little yellow out there. Got Orlon here, which is discontinued. Bizarre. Oh man, it won't even come up. Alright, looks like I'm going to go with a different color. So, Cad Yellow Medium. There we go. A little less sticky. Alright, and then I'm going to just take the phthalo and mix it to get a nice yellow, yellow-green. Just get it over there. It kind of feels like it balances even just the picture. That's Aralon right there. All right. Get some deep oranges in there. All right. Looks like could be a wet into wet. Right on that head there, there's like the like a ghosting. And over here, oh, oh yeah, and that color definitely feels like it's towards yellow, yellow-green. This in here. I wonder if it's like cobalt or something, like cobalt turquoise. Could be. That's the beauty of this. You're trying to like figure it out. Ooh, what did Sargent use here? You know, what was around at the time? Or you could just use what you think or what you normally, like what you interpret it as, which is also equally as fine. Get some of these marks on the gators head there. Then go back in. Just restate that eye a little bit. Get a little bit of warmth down there. Now go back in. Get a little more in there. All right. Cool. Let's get some phthalo. Let's get some ultra. Let's get this to neutralize it. Get a nice dark in there. I'm gonna just see if I can get this little dry brush it to then get that edge there. It's almost like the beauty of this is the abstraction. I mean, I shouldn't say almost. It really is. So like, it's almost like you're just painting the shapes. I bet you that's what he was doing. He also worked a bit, I think, more vertical than I am. You see pictures and stuff of him out there working, and he had an easel. Actually, it looks pretty modern. I just wonder what the easel was. It looks like I had a ball head, which I didn't think was even invented yet, but and then I wonder what kind of violet. He liked cobalt violet. I know on his oil palette, that's what he had. I wonder if he used it here. Back in here, let's get some of that. I love when the medium kind of gets away a little bit. Like, I'm going to see what happens here. Just trying to cut into the scales. And you can see he's kind of drawing at times. Looks like with the brush. little green in there or something, or orange. Even in the eye, like a little warmth or something. All right. And then he's coming back in, and then just suggesting like it's like the little fingers or something. Look at how it's just separating even on the palette. Oh, I love it. So much even in studying your palette. There we go. And just a little eye there. There we go. Then just drawing with the brush in the back. Beautiful. That's really showing that form, bending it. It's so funny because it's just very, very abstract. And then if I said like, "Oh, those are alligators," you'd be like, "Oh, cool! I see them now," you know. And it's like that's the beauty. I mean, art that gets you to kind of think a little bit. I mean, Sargent does that for sure. Can even like blot it if you want. Ooh, and then a purple. I don't even have a purple on here, so let's see what I can get. But you know, a lot of watercolors are modern pigments, so let's see. I think that's Scarlet Lake mixed with ooh, I don't think I have a nice purple on here. Interesting. That could be something to add. There. Anyway, I think that's, getting close to being done here. Whatever done means. Come back in, restate a couple things. Draw with the brush over here. That's wet into wet, so we'll see what happens. Ooh, and then there's that purple again. Like a hint of it over here. Purple. Does feel like that may be phthalo or something. Something in the turquoise family, or cyan. Restate a little bit in there.